Cleveland. Cockcroft, a 30-yard field goal. That's matched Garo Yepremian's 42-yard field goal. 2:55 remaining in the half. You know, we have a great show on ABC Sports called The American Sportsman, and after the first of the year, we're going to have some really interesting segments. Jerry Lewis going to be fishing for Blue Marlin, the Virgin Islands, and Bing Crosby and Phil Harris are going to be back on Howard. They're really something. They'll be hunting partridge in Alberta, Canada.
How about the photographic safari about North America's most controversial animal, the grizzly bear, with actor Michael Cole, formerly of Mod Squad?
How about that Chris Gresham and the rattlesnakes and tarantulas out there in Arizona? That's the cat. Man, I will stay away from him.
Yeah, the black widow spiders too, but they're for Gifford. He likes pythons.
There's a cat right there that likes some touchdowns. Don Shula.
And all of that will be on American Sportsman coming up right after the first of the year. Now, dropping deep, Mercury Morris and Charlie Lee. Charlie Lee at the 6. And Lee goes down, and I think we have seen our first flag of the night. Ken Smith made the stop. Inside the 20. Flag was thrown as Charlie Lee was trying to escape a real fine Brown defensive unit. Holding against the Dolphins. That'll be half the distance to the goal.
So the Dolphins are in difficult field position, very difficult. Let's look at it again. There's Charlie Lee getting hit. A double-barreled hit. Meredith knows what that's all about.
Well, I never did return kickoffs, but I was by choice. I'm telling you, those cats really do. They open themselves up back there. It's a good shot. Pushes them back with that penalty. Now the Dolphins are in very similar position to the Browns earlier in this contest. Let's see what Bobby Reese can do.
Right you are, Don. They'll move 1st and 10 from their own 9-yard line. Mercury Morris and Larry Zonka on the setbacks. 2:46 remaining in the half. Here comes the big man, Zonka. And Zonka pounds for about 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Jerry Shirk, whom we have not spoke of very much, was in on the stop, number 72.
Jerry Shirk, I remember when we were at Joe Namath's house before the first game we ever did, Don, and Jerry was a rookie from Oklahoma State, and Namath told us we're going to go against this kid, and Rasmussen cleaned him out all night. Since then, he's gone on to become what we've already said, one of the 2 great tandem tackles of the Cleveland Browns. A great football player.
Out of Oklahoma State.
2nd down along 7. The ball just over the 10. Here comes Zonka again. A big hole this time on the right side. And he's out for yardage for a 1st down. Charlie Hall made the stop. 9-yard pickup.
Zonka's had 3 good bursts tonight, but overall the Miami ground game has been contained by this Cleveland defense. And, Don, there is a disturbing feeling in Miami about Bob Greasy, who hasn't been hitting as well as he did a year ago.
We'll be back in Cleveland in a moment.
The radial tire. Before you buy one, you should know they're not all the same. Some of them have a polyester cord body for smooth ride, and some have tough double steel belts for extra strength. And some have a computer-designed tread pattern to hold in the wet. And some have special outside grooves for precise cornering. And some have steel sidewall stabilizers for positive control. But of all the radials made today, only Goodyear has them all. Before you buy a radial, look at the Goodyear Custom Steel Guard. The radial with all 5 guards to help protect you 5 ways. Steel Guard, the only steel-belted radial offered as original equipment by all 4 major U.S. car makers, only from Goodyear.
And let's get the Cleveland quarterback Mike Phipps, who is 1 for 4 for 6 yards. We'll tell you this program is being brought to you as a special exclusive of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
WABC TV, New York.
The Lovelies here in Cleveland, and they're cold. It's supposed to go down to around 40 tonight. Miami takes over now, 1st and 10. They're moved from their own 20. Here comes Mercury Morris. Gets away from Garlington. Or rather, Charlie Hall, and runs into Bob Babbage.
As you moon over Cleveland, and up in that area close is our Goodyear blimp, captained by Don Palantz. Boy, I'm telling you, he's got the worst name I've ever heard of in my life. It could be one of your unidentified flying objects. There's a lot of them going around, especially in Mississippi.
Hey, they spotted a few around here last night.
It's good to have the Mayflower with us, though, you know.
On 2nd and 6, Mercury Morris again. Flag goes down as Morris gets out to the 25 into the arms of Charlie Hall, number 59, and John Garlington, number 50. Clipping against Miami. 2 consecutive 15-yarders against Miami that will be marked off half the distance to the goal. And we understand the clipping is called against Larry Little.
There is a splendid coach, unheralded, underpublicized, but as we said at the top of the show, with the ability to put together a great staff and to get the most out of every man that the man has got to give. Nick Skorich. The penalty is paced off, and we're going to give you some crowd shots in just a few seconds because, in the words of Art Modell, reared in Brooklyn, president of the Cleveland Browns, this is the wildest, kookiest crowd he's ever seen in 13 years of his association with the Browns. That's Monday Night Football gift.
That'd be Art Modell, too. He's never had a losing season with the Cleveland Browns. A working owner, one of the real fine people in football.
I like him, too.
Besides, he has his set on.
His house is bigger than my high school.
2nd down and 18. Ball at the 12. The draw play goes to kick. And Garlington knocks him off, but kick sprawls forward for about 2 more. Up to the 18.
This is a time of the game when you're backed up like that. You just had a penalty that really and truly you think very conservatively. You say, look, I got to get out of this thing. We're tied up. We got another half to go. Don't like the situation I'm in. Let's call a couple of plays that could break it and get that first down. If they don't, we're not going to worry about it. And that's the kind of stuff. If you want to know what goes in that huddle, that's the kind of things those quarterbacks say. I mean, things that mean a lot.
All right, 45 seconds has Bob Gracie. 3rd down and 11. The ball at the 18-yard line, his own 18. And a very clever quarterback.
Right. Break that cadence. Let's get 5 yards.
On the left side of the line jumping off, I believe Joe Jones and Walter Johnson both were drawn off with maybe a little extra bark.
We only have 33 seconds left in the first half. It's been the most rapidly paced. Let's watch it again. There you saw them jump, and the penalty will be paced off. The most rapidly paced first half we've had this year. Good, solid football game between 2 fine football teams. National League football the way Dandy Dunn likes to see.
I like more Skorich. There's Nick Skorich. He has done a fine job here. That's not a bad record. Landry told me if I could complete more than 50%, I could still be first team.
3rd down now, 6, 33 seconds remaining, as Howard mentioned. Ball at the 23. Throwing it out to kick, incomplete. Kick picked up out there by Ben Davis, who's having a busy night. He's attracting a lot of Miami's attention. And, well, let's see now. Miami is going to have to punt the ball, and Cleveland perhaps might have time to get into field goal shape.
What are you going to do? Put a maximum rush and try to block it? Or are you going to try to let him kick? He's got a little wind behind him. They've got 30 seconds. They could conceivably get into position with 1 completion after this kick to get a field goal.
Well, dropping 2 safeties, I doubt if they're going to go for the block. They are probably going to try for the good return. Garden and Greg Pruitt are the safeties. This is Larry Seipel. 3rd in the league coming into tonight's play after 4 games. And he hit a beautiful punt. Wow. All the way back to the 22-yard line, taken by Greg Pruitt. Oh! Pruitt falls forward to the 33-yard line. 55-yard punt, 15-yard return. 18 seconds remaining in the half. It's tied up at 3 apiece. The Cleveland Browns have 3 timeouts remaining. The wind is swirling inside of the stadium, although it is, well, what you could call blowing into the Cleveland Browns. So let's see what Mike Phipps elects to do. Will he try and get on the scoreboard? Will he be conservative? Leroy Kelly gets the call. Kelly is over the 45 to the 46. Mike Colon made the stop. And I believe the Cleveland Browns want to take a timeout. That means they are thinking seriously of a three-pointer.
I think that's the situation, Frank, where he said, let's call this first play, which, again, is a basic play in our offense, see how well it goes. If we pick up some yardage, we'll call a timeout, try to get in a position for a field goal. If it doesn't, we may let it run, because they only have 13 seconds to go.
Hey, Don and Howard both, I think you both saw Mike Phipps turn over to the sidelines and wave away. You know, last week was the first time he really called his own plays.
And there's a sign that tells it like it is, Don. Twinkle Toes Go Sell, a reminder of Mr. Selkirk. And that one tells it like it is, go equally.
I think that one is probably...
Don't be bitter, Don.
No, I mean, I'm trying to tell it like it is, man. Motor mouth.
Second down and 2, 13 seconds remaining. Over the middle to Milt Moran.
There you go.
Inside the 40 to the 37, the clock moving with 7, 6, 5, the Cleveland Browns stop the clock. Bob Matheson made the stop, and out comes Don Cockcroft. 18-yard gain, the first reception for Milt Moran.
They haven't thrown to Milt a lot this year, but he remains, as I think Don mentioned very early in the show, one of the better tight ends in the NFL. A fine blocker, a fine receiver, solid football player, #1 draft choice from the University of Massachusetts, as was, by the way, Greg Landry, whom you'll see on our halftime highlights coming up in just a couple of moments now.
And Don Cockcroft will be kicking from 44 yards into a swirling wind. I say swirling because I've been here a few times, and you never know where it's really going to come from.
Where does the wind come from? Does anybody know?
Don Horn holding. At the distance, it's good. They deserve to be ahead at this halftime. Right at the gun. No more time in the half. Cockcroft, a 44-yard field goal, has put the Browns ahead of the heavily favored Miami Dolphins. And they're going crazy here in Cleveland.
They're that kind of team. They'll always give you a good game. No team has given us better games on Monday Night Football over the past 3 years, Don, than the Cleveland Browns.
Can you say that unequivocally?
Unequivocally.
I guess you're right there.
Kicker's night. For last week, we had nothing but touchdowns. At halftime now, we have nothing but field goals. We'll be back in Cleveland in just a moment.
Name?
Jerry West.
Occupation?
Playing ball.
Shave?
Double edge. Once I learn something, I stay with it.
Blade?
Gillette. What else?
Nearly half the guys in this country are double-edged men. Gillette's kind of men. From super stainless to longer-lasting Platinum Plus, Jerry West is just one of them. Gillette, we made the first blade, and we're still the first blade.
Jim McMullen, Wethead. Jim McMullen, the dry look. Doug Higgins, Wethead.
Hey,
Doug...
wait a minute. I'm not a wethead by choice. My hair is just naturally oily. Looks wet even when it isn't.
No problem, Doug. For you, Gillette has a brand new kind of aerosol hair control. The dry look for oily hair. It's specially formulated to absorb excess oils, to leave oily hair looking clean, natural, and dry. Adjustable valve sprays as light as you like.
Doug Higgins, the dry look. For oily hair.
Kim Novak stars as the third girl from the left at 8:30, 7:30 Central.
I'm Joe Namath. I've told you about Hamilton Beach and the butter-up popper, but I've never told you about the company behind Hamilton Beach. It's Scoville, a powerhouse in consumer goods, like famous New-Tone products for your home, and sewing notions from Dritz, a leader in its field. Scoville has apparel fasteners sewed up, too, and Schrader valves are #1 on tires. No wonder Scoville stockholders have been receiving dividends for 117 years straight, and that's a score that's hard to beat.
Roger Grimsby and Bill Butel, Gary Essex, 5-day forecast. Sports with Sal Marciano on Eyewitness News tonight at 11. Deborah Kerr tomorrow on the 4:30 movie.
We're about ready to get underway here in the second half. As you see, the Browns lead the Miami Dolphins 6-3. The Miami Dolphins, who did a complete turnaround 3 years ago when they brought in a man named Don Shula. He took a team that had lost 56 games and won 15, and in 3 years he took them to a Super Bowl title, and there he is. Dropping deep for the Cleveland Browns, Greg Pruitt on your right, Billy LaFleur on the left. They await the kickoff of Garo Yepremian. Another booming kick by the little man, Garo Yepremian, with that big tailwind, and temperatures have really changed. We opened the game, it was 63 degrees. It is now 54.
Miami trailing 6-3. What's wrong with the Super Bowl champions? Have they become, as some have said, fat cats? Have they grown complacent? I asked Don Shula exactly that.
Well, this is one of the big problems, of course, after you've won. But our ball players have worked hard in the practice sessions. We had a spotty preseason, and we had some problems in the early part of the regular season. But last week against the Jet team that was without Joe Namath, we did play well. Our defense played well, and our offense played well. We had both the run and the pass going. Bob Greasy threw 3 touchdown passes, 2 to Paul Warfield, and Marlon Briscoe had a fine day. So I was happy to see that phase of our offense come alive. The Greasy throwing the football. We know we can run with the football. Tonight, we think that we're going to have to put it together, both the running game and the passing game.
The words of Don Shula as you watch Ken Brown get 4 yards. It'll be second down and 6, the ball at the 23. Don Shula, who played his professional football his first 2 years right here for these Cleveland Browns. But this is Mike Phipps directing the attack for the Browns, who are out in front of the Dolphins 6-3. And this is Leroy Kelly, the 4th leading rusher of all time. Gains about 1. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Offensively, the Browns remain the same. Phipps at quarterback, Kelly and Brown are the setbacks. The wide receivers, Hooker, 43, Phipps, 25. Defensively, as we will no doubt see a pass from Mike Phipps, we'll tell you the secondary first is Tim Foley. At the left cornerback, 25, Dick Anderson is the tight safety. Jake Scott is the free safety. Curtis Johnson is the right cornerback. There is the front 4, and they are good. They expect pass now on 3rd and 5. The ball at the 25. Pitts comes to the right. Hooker is at the top of your screen. And down goes Phipps. A lot of pressure from Vern Den Herder. Manny Fernandez also in there, and Cleveland will have to punt the ball to Miami, and they'll be punting against a very strong wind.
Fernandez is the guy that gets in here, I guess, puts on a little pressure. Phipps, you see Fernandez is down, he gets back up. Phipps actually had Milt Morin open on a square out pattern. Seemed that he kind of ducked his head a little bit quick that time. If he had stood in there a little bit stronger, I think he could have flipped that thing out to Morin.
Second time Phipps has been caught tonight. A loss of 10. This is Don Cockcroft. He'll kick to Jake Scott and Dick Anderson. Considering the wind, a fine kick. Jake Scott from his own 45 gets to midfield, and he gets into Brown territory, a 7-yard return. Offensively now for the Dolphins, we'll either see Jim Kick or Mercury Morris opening at halfback, and Larry Zonka, the other setback, number 39. Kick 21, Morris 22 is Mercury Morris. The wide receivers are Briscoe, 86, Paul Warfield, 42. The tight end is Marv Fleming, number 80. Fleming at the bottom of your screen for 7 years, a Green Bay Packer. Brown, the 49 of the Cleveland Browns. The trailing Miami Dolphins get their first possession of the second half. This is Morris.
Good go.
Mercury Morris caught up with by Jerry Shirk.
They turned that corner that time. You see Babbage come from his middle linebacker position. He's trying to get out there in front. That's Zonka trying to block Babbage. He just couldn't get out there. Maybe that slowed him down. Saw number 27, Tom Darden, come up in there. And that's what Morris is so good at, turning that corner.
And turning the corner, he picked up 11 yards. It's 1st and 10 now for the Dolphins. They move from Cleveland's 38-yard line. Here comes Morris again, pounding the middle. Getting just about to the 35. A gain of 2. It'll be second down and 8. Walter Johnson in on the stop.
There's the Miami defense on the bench. You're looking at Manny Fernandez, the undersized but terribly quick, as Don mentioned earlier, defensive linemen, and all of them there are doing a job. They are not a big defensive line. Right now we're looking at Miami with its offensive line, which is good size.
And the third leading passer in the AFC after 4 games, Bob Gracie. Briscoe right, Warfield left. He gives the ball up the middle to Zonka. Zonka runs into Babbage, number 60, and number 81, Nick Roman. Gain of about 2. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Bob Babbage was a #1 draft choice by Sid Gilman a number of years ago when he was running the San Diego Chargers. Now, of course, Sid is taking over Houston. He's been the general manager there, and as we mentioned at halftime, Bill Peterson, the coach, was fired today. You're looking there at some of the Cleveland players. But Babbage, a #1 draft choice, was apparently sidelined for a year with a bad knee and didn't come back to form. Now with Cleveland, he's back to form.
From the 33 of the Browns on 3rd down and 5. Both wide receivers. Briscoe, Warfield to the right. Flag goes down. And Gracie underthrows Jim Kick.
Old Joe Jones was all over him. It's an old boy born there in Dallas. Joe's got good speed for as big as he is. It appears by the roar of that crowd that there was a holding penalty or something against the Dolphins. You see the Dolphins walk back. Brown fans really do like that. You know, I've always had a great deal of admiration for the linemen in football, particularly the offensive linemen. But I think this last week's political move and our probable new vice president has given more esteem to the offensive linemen all across the country than anything that's happened in a long time. It's good to know that he was an old, what you call a good blocker and a tackler. So, folks, you may be looking at some potential vice presidents out there tonight. You never can tell.
To amplify what Dandy Dunn said and clarify it, of course.
No, wait a minute. He doesn't need clarification.
Gerald Ford played with the University of Michigan and was an offensive lineman.
Everybody knows that.
Now to amplify the game, it's 3rd down and 20. The ball at the 48-yard line. Second penalty against Larry Biddle. He was caught holding, as Don mentioned, a holding call. Gracie. Nick Roman with pressure. Good move by Gracie. Going for Warfield. Ben Davis. Was he called for interference? I believe he was.
They're not going to like it here in Cleveland. You see a do-wah-diddy dance by Davis. He didn't like it at all. Do-wah-diddy dance has come after a penalty has been called against you. But Gracie did a heck of a job of keeping his cool, stepping back up in that pocket. Here's the guy that most everybody in the defensive secondary keys their defense against, Paul Warfield. When they talk about wide receivers, they usually try to compare him to Warfield. Here's oh man, we're giving you some coverage tonight. Look at Jerry Shirk, number 72. He's coming back in there. He's after Gracie. Gracie steps up. A little punch in the back. Bobby just let you know I'm in the area. Oh, that was nice.
Dick Scarage looking up. Ben Davis called for the defensive interference. The ball is now at the 18-yard line. 11 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. The ball goes to Mercury Morris. Mercury Morris runs into Babbage on the left side. A loss of about a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 11.
They have really defensed that run tonight, the Browns have, just as they did a year ago against the Dolphins when the Dolphins had to fight from behind. And while the Dolphins are in superb field position now, the thing to remember is that the Dolphins are as well coached a team as there is in football. An utterly superb aggregation with an ability to come from behind, as they proved against San Francisco in their opener this year.
2nd down and 11. The ball just inside the 20. Briscoe goes right. The fans continue to boo the call against Ben Davis. That won't change it. And Babbage. Bob Babbage with the interception. All right, all right. Oh, that was pretty. That was pretty.
That's the young man we've been talking about who has anchored this Cleveland defense. Bob Babbage from Miami of Ohio. And that knee is well now, and they've put it all together with their linebackers. In all of Cleveland's years, they've never had a truly outstanding linebacking crew. But Garlington, together with Babbage and young Charlie Hall out of Houston, have been doing some job this year for the Browns.
Gracie's second interception. Babbage returned that 49 yards. If you're wondering where Babbage came from, he was a #1 draft pick of San Diego in 1969. They turned him over to Cleveland this year for a #1 pick this coming year and a 2 pick in 75. And he has just taken away a possible scoring threat from Miami with a fine interception. First and 10, Cleveland from their 37. Here comes Brown. Good hole, right side. I believe the attempt was to Jim kick. Maybe we can see it as we look at that interception again.
Again, Joe Jones gave some pressure from the outside. Babbage from his middle linebacker position, picking up kick out of the backfield. Look at Greasy trying to get in there to stop that thing. It was a fine defensive play by Babbage.
Brown got 9 yards. It'll be second down and 1. Ball resting at the 27-yard line. Ball goes to Kelly. Brown lead blocking in front. Goes nowhere. Stacked up by Bill Stanfield.
Stanfield did do a good job, Frank. He came in from that defensive end position, buried himself, did not allow the offensive blocks to materialize on offense, and clogged it up. A little loss of a yard there.
Don Shula looking on and obviously unhappy with the situation. 8 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the third quarter. At the moment, Cleveland out in front of Miami, 6-3, and Cleveland threatening. Third down now and 2. The ball at the 28 of the Miami Dolphins. Phipps trying to sneak for the first down. I don't believe he made it.
It's going to be close.
It will be close, Don, and as you and I were discussing earlier today, Bob DeMarco, the great veteran, who had been with Miami, was let go and who signed with the Browns at the center position, has done some job of leading the way for Phipps on those quarterback sneaks and short yardage situation. He did not make it.
Frank was right. He did not make it. Howard, you did, again, the newspapers here in Cleveland this past week have been very pleased with the progress that the offensive line has made. They feel that up until last week, they didn't really run that well. And one of the reasons they've simplified their offense.
35-yard attempt. Cockcroft has already made one against this wind from 44 yards out. That was the go-ahead field goal. This from 35. Up. That's close. Off to the left. No good. So Miami gets out of it, but they had to give up a scoring opportunity on the interception. Babbage. Intercepting Bob Greasy. We'll be back in Cleveland right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sammy Davis Jr.
Now I'm going to tell you this what I'm going to do. That's me on G's fabulous 4-channel audio system. 4 speakers surround you with sound that picks up every instrument. Bass, rap, drum, me. Get it on in the morning, baby. Beautiful 4-channel sound. Next best thing to be in there. Dynamite.
Audio systems by General Electric, the great entertainer.
The road to the Super Bowl is tough, but win or lose, I'll be there, and so can you, thanks to the Ever Ready Super Bowl sweepstakes. The grand prize winner gets my seats, an autographed game ball, $5,000, and a week for 4 in Hawaii, or $10,000 in cash. Enter by November 30th where you buy your Ever Ready Alkaline Energizer, the Long Life Power Cell. See you at the Super Bowl.
Capacity crowd here in Cleveland, and they're excited. Their Cleveland Browns are out in front of the world champion Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins, after a missed field goal of 35 yards by Cockcroft, take over first and 10. They move from their own 20, 7:43 remaining in the third quarter. This is Mercury Morris, Little out in front, number 66 blocking. Good defensive play. Charlie Hall, number 59, turning it in was Clarence Scott, 22. Gain of 1, second down and 9.
There's Larry Little, who I assume is considered one of the premier offensive linemen in the business today. He was out there in front of that one. He didn't do quite as good as possibly they'd hoped. They only picked up about a yard, but Larry Little is not only a good football player, he's a fine fella.
Gain of 1. The ball is at the 21. Second down and 9. And here comes Mercury Morris. Zonka with a terrific block to Springs. Morris. Watch out.
There he goes. It's going to be a foot race. It is a foot race.
Clarence Scott runs down Mercury Morris, and we get the replay. You're going to see one of the great blocks by Larry Zonka. 70-yard run, 1st and 10 for Miami. They're inside the 10 of the Browns. Clarence Scott was the man who run him down. Let's watch Zonka if we can see him.